Hi, Epstein, and here we are with the Morning Flash update. And this update is for Thursday, the 30th of May. One more day left in the month, and that's the end of it for 2024, getting on to 8:30 a.m. Central Time. Now, before we get too far, I want to remind you, this is your last full day of my sale. So the sale will go off early tomorrow on the 31st. It's kaput. If you're serious about wanting to get any of my charting courses, 40% off, this is the time. My one-year purchase of the research, this is the bargain time to do so. And you do that by going to iraepstein.com for the research. Go to the word research. For courses, go to education. And you can always move right up here and work with that, all right? So I think you'll find that interesting. There'll be an icon up there. All right, my friends, let's take a look, if we could, and come back to now what's going on in the market. We had the first quarter GDP final numbers come out, a little stronger, 1.3%. They expected 1.2. When we, though, look at the chain-weighted index, came out as expected at 3.1. The PCE first quarter prelim number, 3.3. They expected 3.4, a little bit of a slippage there. 3.6 in the PC index, the core, down a tenth there too. So traders will say you're getting a little bit of wobble here, which is a good thing because that's what the Fed wants to see. I don't think it's enough to move the Fed, but it's at least going in the right direction. Jobless claims, you can't say much of anything. They came in up 1,000 at 219. There's been revisionments. But when you do a 4-week moving average of these numbers, they're at about the highest they've been since September. So that's also going in the direction of the Fed. National Association of Realtors come out in a half hour from now. EIA petroleum stocks at 10. Actually, I think that's 9:30 that they come out. I don't think it's 10 o'clock. I know it is 9:30. And we're going to see the European Union. They impose grain tariffs on Russian and Belarus grain. So say goodbye. They put enough tariffs where they're done, which I don't understand this whole time why they haven't done that. Think about it. They're spending all these billions giving money to Ukraine to fight Russia, and at the same time they're buying Russian grain, which feeds the engine that fights Ukraine. So they finally got their act together and did that, but they probably had to set up supply chains and make sure that they had enough of whatever they needed. Which brings us to the day's action in the markets. And when you look at the action here, oh, I'm sorry, I've got one of these numbers that went off. But when you look at the numbers, you can see how the market is in the stock market down. Now, one of the reasons that you're seeing the Dow down so much is Salesforce got beaten up. They really had one of the worst new sales quarters that they've had. And I heard how they talked about it yesterday, and they said the cash flow is the biggest they've had. It's better than Coca-Cola's. All that is true. But the market is punishing. First off, a lot of the software companies aren't meeting the AI needs. And the market looks at that and it punishes. It's easy to understand the chip makers. It's easy to understand the board makers. It's easy to understand the computer makers. But the software has to get to the point where AI is needed. And that is the weakness in AI. Will we get to the point eventually where CapEx spending on it, that people say, we're too far ahead of this, I'm going to pull back a little bit. And if one company goes, the other goes, the other goes, and so goes the chip market. So just be careful. That day could come. You're looking at energies on the weaker side today. Grains are going to be mixed at this time of the year. Not much you can do. Remember that you probably want to make your switch now from May Bitcoins into the June. Still the volume's a little bigger today in the May. Not worth hanging around there. I would make your switch. The last trading day is tomorrow. And in the dollar, you can see down a little bit. The pound trying to get a bid. I don't understand why the pound was down, frankly, so much yesterday, but it did a lot of damage to the market. It's got to prove today that it's got muscle, can come back. So with that, I'm Ira Epstein. I'll catch up with you all at the end of the day as we review the markets. Remember, tomorrow's the all-important PCE number, and the trade will be very, very focused on what inflation is looking like, as it's one of the Fed's favorite indicators. Take care.